It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focus late night show in the country, where we're on a mission, by the way. And our mission really is to inspire, our mission is to empower, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only Caitlin. She's in the building, by the way, and she'll be talking about not just mergers and acquisitions, but how you bring two people together that can do more together than they could by themselves. Oh, this is going to be incredible. Think of mergers and acquisitions, but at a different level where it's about doing good in the world. It's about making a movement go further than it was before. It's about someone's legacy living on. It's just really incredible. But anyway, let me stop. What's going on, Caitlin? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? It's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor and a privilege to have you here. And thank you all the viewers for tuning in, by the way, because without you, we don't have a show. So we really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Before we get started, and she'll tell you how famous she is, and some of you read her bio and check all that cool stuff out. We'll get to her backstory in a moment. But I would like to kind of start off with why are we having this conversation about, I would call it mergers and acquisitions, or connecting two parties together, where one person has a company, or maybe they created a foundation or a movement. And the time has come for someone who may be interested in not only purchasing it, but taking it further. Why is it so important to have a middle person these days? Why are people struggling just to come together? I guess my first question to you is, why does a business person with a movement struggle to come together with someone who's looking to have that movement? Sounds like they can just go to AI and be like, I'm looking for this thing, and it just gives them an answer. So why are we having this conversation these days?
So they can go to AI, and obviously that's an easy avenue. But at the end of the day, uh, trusting AI isn't going to get you very far. Also, when it comes to looking for an acquisition, it can be a full-time job, particularly, when you are looking to acquire a company as a new founder, or you're new to a certain industry. You don't know what to look for, and you don't know how to source correctly. Specifically, when you see a lot of those opportunities online, like these different acquisition platforms, a lot of these brokers are going to be um, showing the opportunity in a certain light that's going to benefit them, right? And a lot of these opportunities, they're decent, but there's a lot of things that you might miss. So that's why you would come to Up and Over Advisors, where we will help you with um, those sourcing issues that you might run into from time to time. And we facilitate an introduction between, what you're looking for, the criteria, and the seller. So we're like a matchmaker, if you will, like a Ben to a Jerry.
I like it, a matchmaker. And as you were saying that, I'm probably the only person that has this question in mind, by the way. But someone in the audience might be wondering, then me as the business owner, what should I be looking for when I'm partnering with someone like you? What are some characteristics that I should look for? Because I'm trusting you with my mission. I'm trusting you with my goals. I'm trusting you with the partnering with someone who is looking to partner with me. So what should I look for when I'm working with a company like yours? I know it's an unfair question, but they might be curious. Like, what are some things that I should look for as the business owner or the creator?
Well, it differs from, I would say, client to client, but I can just kind of go through our process. So, what we like to do first is we like to get clear on your goals as our client. So, what we'll do is we start by defining your buy box. So, that can be financial target, industry focus, operating model, and impact priorities. Are you somebody who really cares about the planet and sustainability? Are you somebody that's interested in employee ownership? We can get into that later, and giving back to your employees who help build the foundation of your company. Whether you're a first time buyer or an experienced acquirer, we'll really tailor our approach to your vision. And what's also really important is that we source the right opportunities. So we tap into off market and niche channels using proprietary tools specifically, and our deep networks for being in the industry for the last decade to find businesses aligned with your values, right? I think it's time and time again that all you see out there and all you hear about is the bottom line and profitability. And while that's very important, there's also a lot of other aspects to acquiring a business that nobody talks about, and that's why we're here to help mystify that space, demystify, excuse me, and just make it more approachable for first-time buyers and people who care about values just as much as they care about the bottom line.
Ah, I like that. The values that's included. And let me step back and just reverse the question. And then we're gonna get into her backstory. Some of you want to know, who is she? Why is she involved in this? How does she get involved in this industry? How does she find it? We'll get to that in a moment. But on the flip side, what do you look for in a business when you're meeting with a business owner? You mentioned some things that are important, like the movement or making sure they understand what their mission, goals, and objectives are. But are any other characteristics that your firm looks for? Because I'm sure you don't accept everybody. There's a process, as you said. But what are two or three things let me ask the question this way. For a business owner that hasn't clearly got their story together, they know it's in their heart and so forth, does your organization help them be able to formulate that so it can be clearly communicated to someone who's looking to purchase what they're doing?
Absolutely, yeah. We'll work with an array of different buyers, right? We like to focus on B Corps, sustainable businesses, or just innately you can tell if someone is just a good person who's just trying to do better in the world, or somebody who just wants to switch things up. They've been an entrepreneur. They've acquired businesses before while focusing on the bottom line, but now they want to do something different. Now they're looking to find a company that they can grow and they can leave their legacy behind. So what we look for specifically at Up and Over Advisors is, are you a mission impact driven buyer? So that would be like individuals or firms who care about sustainability, like I said, community impact, employee well-being, and just really ethical leadership, not just financial returns. We also want to see somebody who's ready to act. So they have the resources, decision-making ability, and willingness to move when the right opportunity comes up, right? Because there's a lot of a time where you'll start to engage with somebody and help them out, and they just don't feel comfortable moving forward on that. So we try to give that confidence to our clients to say, hey, we're here to support you. And wherever you feel like you're lacking or you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel confident, we can help fill those holes, if you will. And then we also like to see a collaborative mindset. So we want to see somebody that values the partnership and trusts our process just for uncovering and engaging with sellers. And at last, too, I'll add to this as well, long-term thinkers. We want to see that people, see acquisitions as a way to grow or transition without compromising what makes a business special. So those are just some of the things that we look for while, we're searching for clients or people reach out to us and ask the same question.
Spot on. I think those are spot on, by the way. But now the question that you probably been waiting for, they've been waiting for as well, which is, who is this person doing this talking? This is good information. Sounds great. And someone out there is like, hey, I'm looking to buy, or someone out there might be thinking, hey, I'm looking to sell as well. So it's a good audience we're talking to. But take a moment. The question: who are you? What's the backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually based in Charleston, South Carolina now, but I grew up on the Jersey Shore. And yes, it was a great place to grow up, not just a reality TV set. But I bounced around for a bit after college, where I went to school in New Hampshire. And I come from a family deeply rooted in public service. My mom was a public defender of New Jersey, and my dad ran his own law firm. And I think, growing up, they taught me integrity, fairness, and advocating for others. And I think that those values are really at the core of how I work today. So my why is, I had started in sales after college, where I discovered I had a real knack for spotting opportunities and building trust. And that eventually led me into M&A, which for those that don't know what that means, it's mergers and acquisitions. And just to put it in layman's terms, because I know it kind of sounds intense and intimidating, but M&A is really just a fancy way of saying that one business is buying another or two companies are teaming up. It can be a real powerful tool for growth or transition, but a lot of people assume, it's only for massive corporations or ultra, wealthy investors, and that's just not the case. So eventually I got into M&A, not the Wall Street stereotype, and I was working for an Amazon aggregator. And what an Amazon aggregator does is they find profitable small businesses and acquire them, and then they monetize them under their umbrella. So I was working for this company where I met my business partner, Hannah Sandmeyer. She's a CEO of Up and Over Advisors. And at first, being at this new startup, it felt innovative, but we quickly saw how sellers were being treated. They were being treated very transactionally and very much like numbers. And that was kind of the pivot in the moment that we knew that there had to be a better way to do this. And that's what led to Up and Over Advisors. So what we want to do here is we want to make M&A more human. We want to make it more values driven. And we want to help founders realize that growth doesn't need to be extractive. I think a lot of people think M&A is just $1 billion Wall Street deal. But we help smaller values-led companies grow or transition in ways that really honor what they've built. And that's our core thesis at the end of the day.
I love it, by the way. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing right now? You seem to get excited when you were talking about what you're doing and why you're doing it. You can see your voice kind of going up a little bit. And I'm like, man, she really enjoys this. Like, it's not just about the money. It's about your parents who were in the service industry. But I'm curious, in your heart, what gives you joy? Why do you really just enjoy this so much?
I think just being a change, right? So our company just became the first buy-side sourcing firm to become a B Corp. And
Congratulations.
thank you. Yes, no, we're very, very excited about that. And that just basically means that, we've been vetted. It's a very thorough process for doing business in a way that's just good for people, the planet, and profit. And I think just innately, I've always had this urgency and this sense to help others. I know that can sound maybe a little cliche, right? I think every single human is innately good at the end of the day. And now that we have the tools, specifically with being able to reach people across the world and be able to help fill a void in the M&A market that has only been previously owned by private equity, right? And I don't think that they have the best reputation. And I think there's a lot of people out there that feel like, okay, I've built this company over the last 30, 40, 50 years, and my only option is to sell to a conglomerate or sell to private equity. And that's just really disheartening. And we want to find a way, and I want to find a way that instills confidence in the smaller founder that they can grow something too, and it doesn't need to be so focused on just the money sign, right? I just want to do good in the world, and I think this is a way to do that.
Well, you're doing good. You're making a difference for a lot of folks. And that leads us to a really good segment we have here called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we're about to do. We're about to ask that question. And that is, you get to say those magic words. Today is my January 1st. Go ahead and say that. Happy New Year to all of you out there watching, by the way. Every day is a Happy New Year, right? But the question we like to ask for those folks who are joining for the very first time, today is my January 1st is our personal mantra at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means that past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is back there, or how bright and sunny the past is, the past really no longer equals the future. And so my question for the one and only Caitlin on the other side is really twofold. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two is, every time in your life, maybe it's been perfect, we don't know, we'll find out, that there was some challenge and there was some setback. And if so, in your business or life, how did you work through it? How were you able to bounce back?
Yeah, I think, when the January 1st moment comes to mind, I think about lessons learned from, previous experiences. I don't want to call them mistakes, right? Because it's all a learning lesson. But I would say I have two I can think of off the top of my head. One is what I mentioned previously, which was working with the Amazon aggregator, which was a huge wake-up call. I'd spent months building relationships with founders while working for that company, only to see them treated like a transaction. And that was really my no more moment, if you will. The fresh start that became Up and Over. And I think the lesson that I learned from that experience was just to walk away from what isn't aligned so you can make room for what is. And then the second was I actually had lost both my parents at an early age. And I think that experience, it made me think deeply about legacy, what we leave behind personally and professionally. I wanted to work to reflect the values that they both modeled, which was, integrity and fairness and care for others. And, the lesson that I learned there was legacy is built in how you treat people every day. So I'd say those are the two that stick out in my mind as my January 1st moments.
Spot on, by the way. Thanks for being so authentic, so transparent to us. One of the questions I like to ask when we have time is, what's one of the best piece of advice you've ever been given? And I always frame it for the audience because I want the audience to know you've read a lot of books, okay? You've had a lot of studies. You've watched a lot of videos. You've probably had mentors along the journey. You've been a part of masterminds and a lot of other things in life to get to where you are right now. But if you had to think about it and say, wow, there's been so much I've learned, been told, what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given, and why is it so important to you?
I think I would say don't wait for the perfect moment because it doesn't exist. So, whether you're thinking about selling or buying or just stepping into something new, you can get clarity by just taking action. And I've learned that time and time again. And surround yourself with people who push you to think bigger and more ethically. So for me, as an example, that's been Hannah, my CEO, and my business partner, and she just constantly, is reminding me that it's okay to ask for what I want. Specifically, being a woman in this industry, and even if that answer might be no, you still asked, right? And you keep, persevering on and pursuing what you set out to do. So I would say that is probably some of the best advice that I've gotten through this journey of my career.
And life hasn't always been like a clear path. How are you able to take action? And I'm not going to say in the face of being fearful, but when you're not certain, everything is not positive, you're not too sure how it's going to land, but you still move forward anyway. So how are you able to do things in the face of fear? I guess that's the question. And someone out there listening might be thinking, wow, I never thought it was possible for me. I never thought maybe because of my movement, because of what I created, that it's possible that I could be connected with someone else. You know what I mean? And it's a little fearful. It could be a little fearful, a little daunting. So I guess the question directly is, how do you continue to move forward in the face of fear or when things aren't always as clearly laid out? There's uncertainty.
I mean, I think we all suffer from imposter syndrome, right? Or we figure like, we don't have all the knowledge or all the tools to figure something out or to be successful. And I used to worry that, asking questions would make me seem like I didn't know what I was doing, which to me now sounds wild, because I think it's
It does,
it's
doesn't
one
it?
of
That's good.
things now. And when I speak to folks, I'm like, okay, that's somebody who wants to learn. That's a really smart individual because that's the only way you are going to learn, right? Is by asking questions about something you don't know about. And I've learned that asking good questions is actually a superpower and isn't something that I should be ashamed of. So every day when I wake up, I just say to myself, I'm very fortunate to be able to live in this time, to have access to all these things that has helped me grow my company to where it is today in such a quick amount of time. And just staying scrappy and staying curious, right? I think that we all have the same insecurities at the end of the day, but just persevering through it all because it all works out in the end if you just keep trying.
How true is that, by the way? And as we come down the home stretch, I guess one of the questions I have is, what do you do for fun when you're not out taking a client and putting them with a company and making someone's dream comes true? Because at the end of the day, a dream does become a true reality when you match those two individuals together. It's very special. It's people might think, oh, they're just matchmaking. No, it's a pretty huge deal. People can sleep at night knowing what they've created, the legacy is living on, or they finally be able to get a hold of something that's near and dear in their heart. So when you're not out saving the world, what do you do for fun?
Yeah, not saving the world by any means, but just making a little bit of a difference is all we're trying to do. What do I do for fun? Well, I've got two great dogs. I love running around with them. I love being out on the water. I love going hiking. I love going running. I love a good TV show. Just got into some video game playing as well, which is kind of
Okay,
embarrassing.
now, okay. Let me let
It's
me, let me find out.
embarrassing to
There's a
say
monitor
that
over there on the side
lately,
of your
but
screen.
yeah, but you know what? I'm not ashamed to admit it. They're just like the little things that I find pleasure in. So those are
Uh,
just a few.
Oh,
But
I love
yeah, I
it, by the
appreciate
way. Two-part question as we close out. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days? I'm not sure if y'all taking on any clients, so we'll figure that out. So what type of clients do you look to work for? And number two, how can folks connect with you? They're like, I like what I'm hearing. I want to stay in this conversation. I want to go to a website. I want to go to a place. I want to learn more, or maybe connect them, even having a meeting. What should they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So like what I said before is, if you're a mission or impact driven founder, an entrepreneur, where maybe you have a small portfolio and you're looking to acquire another business, come to us. We're more than happy to help facilitate. Also, if you're new to acquiring businesses, we love to work with small to medium size buyers, which would typically fall within the realm of like 5 million to 10 rev or 10 million in revenue. But we work with clients from, like I said, as small as 5 million up to 100 million plus in annual revenue. So, we don't shy away from anybody. You just need to have a positive mindset and, are ready to actually hunt and take the time to review the opportunities that we source for you. And then the second part of that question, which was how can we connect? So you can find me and my business partner, Hannah, at upandoverinvestors.com or on LinkedIn. And we also have our own podcast called Ethical Exits that you can find on any different platform that you stream podcasts on. And that's where we dig into what it looks like to buy and sell a business and just really demystify the space of M&A, make it more approachable for listeners who are unfamiliar with a lot of the terms or what it's all about. Because at the end of the day, it's really easy once you understand, what you're looking for, what all these words mean, all these, analogies means, all these different things. So that's what that platform and that podcast has done for us. So you can find us on those two places.
Congratulations on the podcast. Now she's on the other side. This is amazing. Well, let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it. Continue doing what you're doing now. You are making a huge difference. So thank you. And thank you to Alexandra and Nicole for connecting us as well.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thank you to viewers for tuning in, by the way, because, without you, we don't have a show, by the way. So I never get tired of reminding you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, by the way, whether you're doing really, really well and you're going to that next level of joy, success, and happiness or fulfillment, or you've been hit with the punch that you never saw coming. The one thing I do believe is that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Peace. We out of here. Thanks so much, Caitlin. See you again soon. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Until we meet again.